My name is Corry Myers, and I made the Indiana Southwest Walk to Emmaus 54B, and I sat at the table of Luke. I was born in 1974 in Vincennes, Indiana, and growing up, I had a really wonderful childhood, until I didn't. My earliest memories were of my mom telling me about the goodness of God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. You see, I was 4 years old, and I was the only one who knew that my babysitter was actually an evil monster who beat me, tortured me, and molested me, and planned to kill me and my entire family if I ever told anybody what he does to me. I was 4 years old. What was I going to do? I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd save them all, or I'd die trying. Unfortunately, that monster tortured and abused me and molested me more times than I can count. He devastated me and changed my life forever. Some of you couldn't even imagine something so horrible. Unfortunately, too many of you can, because we've lived it, we've been through it, and we get stuck in it over and over, again and again, all the time. In life, especially with addicts and recovering addicts, we seem to put up fences and build walls. We are afraid to let people in for fear that they will expose our wounds. To express ourselves is to express ourselves to one another is to expose our wounds. Our weaknesses and wounds are easy targets for people to demoralize us and downgrade us as weak and unworthy. If they're poking their finger in to our open wounds, they have control over us and our emotions. We don't like to give up control. Even though we find encouraging support, we're afraid to open up because the wounds go so deep. We have come to know the truth, that these walls are just a defense mechanism. Just the fact that our defenses are up invites others in to come in and take a swing at us. We have to let our defenses down. When we take off our gloves, throw in the towel, and admit defeat, the healing process begins. Our way doesn't work anymore, so we hold up the white flag of surrender, and our healing begins. Those old wounds start to close up, the walls start to come down, communication starts, and the healing power of others begins to surface. When we take down these walls daily, they become more penetrable. Opening up becomes a way of life, and miracles begin to happen. Life on life terms becomes more enjoyable. We find out that the truth, really does set us free. Tearing down walls can get pretty messy, but you'll be more open and honest and free in the end. You see, I've battled PTSD for my entire life. That's well over 40 years of mental anguish. As a child, I had no idea that there was a problem. I just thought my brain was just normal. That's what it was supposed to be like. PTSD is a hyper-awareness of an overactive flight or fight response system in the system. It puts one in a constant state of high alert to look out for danger. This overactive fight or flight response acts as a filter for all communication in my brain before any calculated response can happen. My mind is always questioning everything. Should I run? Should I fight? Constantly. Now look, this is a great response when you're face to face in extreme danger, like with a bear in the middle of the woods. Not so great when you're at the grocery store. PTSD doesn't just happen once a day. It's a continual process. It always happens. It's always on. That filter is always there with every thought, with every action, with every word I hear, with every word I say, with everything I see, with everything I feel and do. It's there. And every bit of information that ever goes to or through my brain meets my PTSD first. And my response is next. What I'm trying to say is, I cannot get up in front of you in front of crowds. I was 4 years old. My mom had just opened up a little cafe restaurant in a small town a few miles down the road from where I lived. See, a long time ago, I made a promise with God. I knew I was no good at talking in front of crowds. It terrified me. It triggered my PTSD. But here I am. What was impossible to me, God made possible. I knew all the dangers I faced on a daily basis as a drug addict. The drugs were my little white surrender flag. I was done. I had given up, and I knew what hurt, and I knew what hurt the most. It hurt that I lost my life at the age of 4. It hurt that I suffered from PTSD ever since. Through years, it'd be called many things like depression, high alert, anxiety, suicidal ideology, dissociative disorder, multiple personality disorder, addictive personality disorder, many things. They call it many things. I remember going to court and answering a question with God told me. Ooh, I was in the courtroom and I said, God told me. DCS threw me under a bus for believing in God. Like I audibly heard his voice. Like I was a total nutcase. It's awesome how God works though. My wife, myself, and our kids' as foster parents, went back to the Department of Child Services building and give speeches there and give talks and help with training there. Look at what my God has done. He says, look, I am coming soon, and count your blessings. I have your reward. Come spend the rest of eternity with me. Come spend TIME with me. What does your treasure in heaven look like? Remember when I was talking about my family being murdered and I said I would save them all or I would die trying? Well, brothers, you are part of my family, and here I am. Still fighting that battle with Jesus. I'm still in the process of learning how to live life on Christ's terms. Along the way, though, I found out that compassion is a necessity. Without mercy, I'd be doomed. Love is an action, and love is only love when you give it away. And the best way to spell love in a family is TIME. Time. If you spend most of your days mad, you've lost most of your days to madness. Just as seasons change, so do life circumstances. I must die to self daily and pick up my own cross and carry it. Sometimes I find myself dropping it, pulling it, or just dragging it, picking it. But I always end up going back and picking it up and taking my own cross with me. It's not how many days you have in your life, but it's how much life you have in all your days. Sometimes life's greatest struggles are God's blessings in disguise. I think I've had to go through exactly what I've had to go through in order to get to where I am today. There's 3 things that God cannot do. He cannot lie, He cannot change, and He cannot see through the blood of His only begotten Son. But most importantly, the complete God of the universe lives in me, and He lives in you, and He lives in all of us. I found out that if you ask God to take you deeper than your heart could ever wonder, get ready to live and get ready to love like never before. You see, I'm fighting my battles. Christ's battles become my battles. He makes my heart break like His, and today, I'm 7 years clean in recovery. Here's a little story of my recovery. This was my testimony when I first got clean. It's a story of the binding chains of addiction and the chain breaker. It's been 9 long years ever since my now, I gotta find out how old she is, year-old daughter. 9 years of no hugs. 9 years of no I love yous. There was 9 years of no wondering how she was doing or how she would react when we met. 9 years of missing her with every freaking ounce of my being. 9 years of not even knowing or understanding the pain she must feel. A sorrow so deep that it ran through my veins. I lost touch as I become addicted to prescription painkillers prescribed by my doctor. As I went further into the pit of addiction, I thought I could spare her agony that her brothers and sisters had to go through. I had been prescribed Lortabs at the age of 30. Up until that time, I was a completely anti-drug. After taking narcotics for years, I realized I had a serious problem, but by then it was too late. The heavy chains of addiction had already weighed me down. I found myself chained to a 1,000-pound boulder at a bottomless pit of delusional despair. One pill turned into two, two turned into four. Before long, I was chewing them. And then, to make them kick in quicker, not long after that, I had a straw stuck up my nose. I couldn't go 3 days without something. I wanted to quit, and I tried often. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I battled PTSD my entire life. That's well over 40 years of mental anguish. As a child, I had no idea that there was a problem or an issue with my brain. I just thought my brain was normal, and this is the way life was. The PTSD is a hyper-awareness of the overactive fight or flight response in the brain. It puts one in a constant state of high alert to look out for danger. This overactive flight or fight response acts as a filter for all communication in my brain before any calculated responses can happen. My mind is always questioning everything. Should I run or should I fight? Constantly. Now look, this is a great response when you come face to face with extreme danger. Not so great when you're in a grocery store. PTSD doesn't just happen once a day. It's a continual process. It always happens. It's always on. The filter is always there with every thought, with every action, with every word I hear, with every word I say, with everything I see and do and feel. It's there. And every bit of information that ever goes through my brain has to meet my PTSD first. And then my response next. You see, I was 4 years old and my mom had just opened up a little cafe restaurant in a small town, a few miles down the road from where I lived.